Have you ever looked around and thought, is this it? Maybe it happened quietly, on a random Tuesday morning while staring into your coffee. Or maybe it hit you like a wave, watching your kids grow up, your job feeling more like a treadmill than a mission, or realizing your dreams from 10 years ago never quite left the paper. If you've ever caught yourself thinking, I should have been further by now, or what happened to the fire I used to have? You're not alone. Turning 40 can feel like crossing an invisible line. It's not old, not young. You're seasoned, experienced. But suddenly, the world starts expecting you to settle, to stop dreaming so big, to accept what is instead of going after what could be. And yet, something inside you whispers, there's still more. More to do, more to feel, more to become. And you're right. This video is for you, the one who feels stuck, not because you've done anything wrong, but because life got busy. You were raising kids, building a career, putting everyone else first. Now, maybe for the first time in a long time, you're looking inward and asking, what about me? So, here's this good news. You don't need to burn everything down and start from scratch. You can reinvent your life right now from exactly where you are. In this conversation, we're going to walk through 5 game-changing steps that will breathe fresh life into your routine, your goals, and your sense of self. These aren't vague ideas. They're real, doable shifts you can start making today. Let's start with something that might seem small but is actually everything. Your story. You've been telling yourself a story about who you are. Maybe it sounds like, I'm just not the adventurous type, or I'm too old to start over, or that ship has sailed. These lines become the script we live by, but here's the truth. That story isn't fixed. You can rewrite it right now. You can decide to be the person who tries new things, who learns again, who changes direction at 40, 50, 60, or beyond. Think of your life like a book. You don't throw it away because chapter 4 got messy. You keep writing. The twist is still coming. You're the author, remember? One powerful way to start changing that story is by shifting your daily focus. What are you giving your attention to? Is it the noise, the complaints, the news, the to-do lists? Or are you giving space to possibility? It doesn't have to be dramatic. Maybe it's 5 minutes in the morning to write down what you're grateful for, or journaling about a dream you've tucked away. When you start shifting your focus, you begin shifting your identity. And when your identity changes, your life changes. Now, let's talk about energy. Because if you're going to reinvent yourself, you're going to need it. Not the kind that comes from caffeine or a good night's sleep, though those help. I'm talking about purpose-driven energy. The kind that comes from waking up excited again. To get that, you need to start doing things that light you up. Not things you're obligated to do, things you want to do. And here's the thing. You already know what they are. Maybe you used to paint or run or build things. Maybe you dreamed of writing a book, starting a business, learning photography, dancing, salsa. But somewhere along the way, life told you, there's no time for that. Well, guess what? Now there is. You just have to say yes. So start small. Don't wait for the perfect time. Take a weekend class. Watch a tutorial. Call someone who does what you admire and ask them questions. Reigniting joy is like lighting a match. It might feel small at first, but it can warm your whole life. And joy is contagious. The more you live from it, the more you attract people and opportunities that match it. Here's another piece of this reinvention puzzle: environment. Think about the spaces you spend most of your time in: your home, your workplace, even the people around you. Are they lifting you up or weighing you down? Sometimes we outgrow our surroundings just like we outgrow old clothes. But we keep squeezing into them, thinking it's normal to feel uncomfortable, uninspired, even invisible. It's not. You're allowed to refresh your space. It could be as simple as moving the furniture, painting a wall, decluttering your closet. These little acts send a powerful message to your brain. Change is happening. And then your brain starts looking for more change. The same goes for your circle. Take a moment to reflect. Are the people around you encouraging your growth or keeping you small? You don't need to cut people off, but you do need to start investing your time and energy where there is mutual inspiration. Maybe that means joining a group, attending a workshop, reconnecting with that one friend who always had big ideas. Because here's something no one tells you: reinvention is contagious. When you start shifting, growing, and daring again, you give others permission to do the same. You become a mirror of what's possible, not just for yourself, but for everyone around you. And listen, don't be afraid to outgrow people, habits, even careers. That doesn't mean you're disloyal. It means you're alive. Growth is uncomfortable because it stretches us beyond who we used to be. But that's where the magic happens, in the stretch. Now that we've started cracking open that old story and lighting a spark of joy again, it's time to look at how we take that momentum and point it towards something powerful. When you feel that shift, that slight pull towards something more, you've got to grab it. Don't ignore it or talk yourself out of it. That little tug is your intuition, your inner compass saying, "We're not done yet." And the next step to honoring that feeling: get crystal clear on what you actually want. Not what you think you should want. Not what others expect, but what you, in your gut, truly crave. Now, this can be trickier than it sounds, because after decades of doing what's practical or responsible, sometimes we forget how to dream freely. So take a moment, maybe after this video, maybe right now, and just ask yourself, if nothing was off limits, what would I love to be doing? Don't filter it, don't edit it, just let it come out, even if it feels crazy or unrealistic. That's where the gold is. That's where reinvention begins, not with logic, but with desire. Maybe it's starting a nonprofit. Maybe it's moving to a new city, or finally learning to play the piano, or going back to school. Whatever it is, write it down. Speak it out loud. Give it oxygen. Because when you name your dreams, you start to reclaim your power. Here's where most people get stuck. They think they have to have it all figured out before they can start. But that's backwards. You don't wait for clarity to act. You act, and clarity comes. Start messy. Start small. Start scared. But just start. If that dream feels big and overwhelming, break it into tiny pieces. Want to change careers? Schedule one conversation with someone in the field. Want to write a book? Write a paragraph a day. Want to improve your health? Walk around the block after dinner. Momentum doesn't come from massive action. It comes from consistent, intentional steps. Every step tells your brain, This is who we are now. And the brain listens. Another game changer in this process, releasing the need for permission. At some point, we all absorb this idea that we need someone to validate our choices, that we can only chase something new if a boss, a spouse, a parent, a society says, yes, that's acceptable. But here's the truth. You are the only one living your life. No one else wakes up in your skin, hears your thoughts, feels your heartbeat. So why should anyone else get to decide your next chapter? Stop waiting for permission that will never come. Give it to yourself. It's okay to want something different. It's okay to feel restless. It's okay to outgrow roles and routines. That's not failure, it's evolution. And the people who really care about you, they'll adjust. Some may not understand at first. That's okay too. You don't need universal approval to take a brave step forward. You just need a little bit of faith and a whole lot of self-compassion. Speaking of compassion, let's pause here for a moment. Because when we talk about change, we often skip over the emotional weight of it. Reinventing your life at 40 or beyond isn't just a checklist of goals. It's deeply personal. It stirs up regret, fear, even grief for the time you think you've lost. And that's real. But here's the reframe. Nothing you've lived through is wasted. Every job, every relationship, every detour, it taught you something. It gave you tools, perspective, resilience. So instead of beating yourself up for not starting sooner, thank your past self. They got you here. And now you get to lead the next part of the journey. So be kind to yourself. Speak gently to yourself. If you catch your inner voice saying things like, it's too late, or I'm not good enough, talk back. Literally, say, that's not true. I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm showing up for me. It might feel weird at first, but those words matter. Your mind listens to the tone you set. And here's something else worth remembering. There's no timeline. Just because someone else launched their dream at 25 doesn't mean you missed your shot. In fact, studies have shown that some of the most successful reinventions happen after 40, even after 50 or 60. Why? Because you're wiser now. You know what matters. You're less likely to chase things that don't align with your values. That clarity, it's a superpower. Take Colonel Sanders, who started KFC at 65, or Vera Wang, who didn't enter fashion until 40. These aren't exceptions. They're proof that the second act can be the best one yet, if you give yourself permission to write it. And don't forget, change doesn't always mean a total life overhaul. Sometimes reinvention looks like deepening what you already have. Maybe it's finding new ways to connect with your spouse. Maybe it's taking your current job and reshaping it into something more fulfilling. Maybe it's finally prioritizing your health or learning how to rest without guilt. Reinvention isn't about becoming someone else. It's about becoming more you. So if you're watching this and thinking, I want that, but I don't know where to begin, know this. You already have. By clicking this video, by listening with an open heart, you've already taken the first step. That little flicker you feel right now, that's hope. That's possibility. And it's not going anywhere. Because even if the world wants you to believe your best days are behind you, I'm here to tell you, they're not. They're ahead. And they're waiting for you to step into them, one small, brave choice at a time. Let's pause and breathe for a moment. You've already come so far just by sitting with these thoughts and giving yourself the space to imagine something different That alone is powerful. But let's not stop here, because the next part of your reinvention journey, it's where things get exciting. At this stage, it's time to surround yourself with energy that matches your new direction. Think of it like this. You can't plant a new garden in toxic soil. You need support, encouragement, and even a little bit of accountability from people who actually get it. That doesn't mean you need to cut everyone off or burn bridges. It just means being intentional about who gets a front row seat in your life right now. Maybe you have a friend who lights up every time you talk about your ideas, or someone who's walked a similar path and isn't afraid to share their lessons. These are the people to draw closer, because, let's be honest, reinvention isn't always easy. It can be lonely at times, and when those inevitable doubts creep in, having even one person in your corner can make all the difference. And don't underestimate the power of finding new communities. Whether it's a local class, an online group, a mastermind, or even just a regular meetup with like-minded folks, getting around people who are also building, growing, and dreaming will help keep your momentum going. There's something so motivating about hearing, "I've been there too," or "You're not crazy for wanting this." But here's a little warning. Sometimes when you start making changes, it will make other people uncomfortable. That's not your fault. People who are stuck often resist watching others move forward. They may question your decisions, mock your goals, or try to pull you back into the version of you they're familiar with. Let them. It's not your job to convince them. Your job is to stay true to the version of you that's trying to emerge. And remember, just because someone doesn't understand your path doesn't mean you're on the wrong one. It might just mean you're finally walking your own. Now, let's talk about one more crucial shift, one that often goes unnoticed but makes a massive impact. It's the way you talk to yourself when no one's listening. That quiet inner monologue, it shapes everything, your choices, your confidence, your courage. If you're constantly telling yourself, "I'm too old," or "I missed my chance," your brain will believe it and it'll act accordingly. But the opposite is also true. If you start telling yourself, "This is just the beginning," your brain starts to look for proof of that. It starts finding opportunities instead of limitations. That inner voice becomes a compass, guiding you toward possibility instead of fear. One simple way to shift your self-talk is by practicing small affirmations every day. Not the cheesy kind that doesn't feel real, but honest, grounded reminders like, "I'm allowed to change. My story isn't over. I can do hard things. I'm learning as I go, and that's enough." Say it in the mirror. Write it in a journal. Whisper it when you're walking the dog. These words are like seeds. The more you plant them, the more they grow. Here's another beautiful truth. Sometimes reinvention doesn't come with fireworks or dramatic announcements. Sometimes it's quiet, subtle, a moment of clarity over morning coffee, a decision to finally put your name on the list for that class, a choice to speak up in a meeting, a conversation where you say, "I'm not sure what comes next, but I'm open to finding out." Those moments add up. They turn into momentum, and momentum turns into change. Now, I want to talk directly to the part of you that might still feel unsure. The part that says, "What if I fail?" Or "What if it's too late?" And to that I say, what if you don't try? What if you stay stuck in a life that doesn't light you up? Isn't that scarier? Life after 40 isn't the end of anything. It's the doorway to everything you've been building toward. All the experiences, all the lessons, all the strength you've gained over the years, they've prepared you for this moment. You're not starting from scratch. You're starting from experience. And that is priceless. You've been through enough to know what you want. You've survived enough to know you're capable. And you've seen enough to recognize what matters most. That wisdom, that lived truth, that's your launch pad. There's a quote I love. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive. Because what the world needs is people who have come alive. And that's what this is all about. Coming alive again. Feeling something stir in your chest. Waking up with a spark of curiosity. Looking in the mirror and recognizing someone who's growing, not fading. You don't need to have it all figured out. You just need to keep taking steps. Keep listening to that nudge inside. Keep saying yes to yourself, even when it feels awkward or uncertain. Because on the other side of that discomfort, that's where the magic is. If you're still with me, then let me just say, thank you. Thank you for showing up for yourself. That alone means more than you realize. Because choosing to change, especially at this point in life, takes guts. It's easy to go with the flow, to settle into comfort zones, to shrug and say, maybe this is just the way it is now. But you didn't. You dared to ask, what if there's more? And here's the truth. There is more. There's always more. Reinvention doesn't mean throwing your whole life away and starting over. It means choosing consciously, boldly to evolve. It means letting go of roles and identities that no longer serve you and stepping into new ones that feel more aligned with who you've become. Maybe you're still not exactly sure what you want. That's okay. Start small. Revisit old passions. Remember the hobbies or dreams you shelved years ago. Was it painting, writing, starting a business, learning a new language, mentoring others? Those aren't just someday ideas. They're breadcrumbs, pointing you back to your true self. You might not become a world-class painter or best-selling author, and that's not the point. The point is to reconnect with what makes you feel alive. That feeling, that hum of curiosity and creativity is what fuels reinvention. When you follow it, even in tiny ways, you start to build a life that feels more like you. Sometimes all it takes is changing your routine. Wake up a little earlier, walk a different route, try cooking a meal you've never made. Call someone you haven't talked to in years. These tiny acts shake the dust off your life and make room for something new. But the most important shift you can make? Give yourself permission to take up space, to want things, to say, this matters to me. Somewhere along the line, many of us were taught to tone ourselves down, to be grateful for what we have and stop asking for more. But wanting more doesn't mean you're ungrateful. It means you're human and alive and growing. You're allowed to want a life that excites you again. You're allowed to feel restless and curious and unsure. And you're allowed to rewrite your story at any age. Some of the most incredible reinventions happen after 40, 50, even 60. People switch careers, move to new countries, fall in love again, launch businesses, write books, heal old wounds. There's no expiration date on becoming who you're meant to be. And if no one has told you this lately, let me be the one to say it. You're not too old. You're not too late. You're not behind. You're right on time. You're right where you need to be, with everything you've been through behind you and everything you're becoming ahead of you. If this video sparks something in you, don't let that feeling slip away. Hold on to it. Use it. Do one small thing today that your future self will thank you for. Even if it's just journaling one idea, making a call, or spending 10 minutes dreaming again. Momentum builds faster than you think. And I want to hear from you. What part of this message spoke to you most? What changes are you thinking of making? Drop a comment below. I read every single one. You never know who you might inspire just by sharing your story. If this video resonated with you, please give it a like and subscribe to the channel. We've got more empowering content coming your way, designed to help you thrive in this next chapter of life. Because you deserve to thrive, not just survive. So here's to the reinvention, to the bold step, to choosing yourself again. No matter where you've been, no matter how long you've felt stuck, it's not too late to begin again. You're not broken. You're becoming. Here's to living your best life at any age.